Hey, Paul here. It's April 28th in 2018. We're in Nashville, Tennessee. We're doing a little garden health talk at my house. And the first thing we're going to talk about is microbes and enzymes. Okay, you like when you get your box of cereal at the store, they talk about the vitamins and the minerals, and we always talk about vitamins and minerals, but no one ever talks about microbes and enzymes. Okay, microbes are those little bugs. They're little critters that get on your food, things we like try to sterilize out. And there's things like I've got a list here: nematodes, fungi, bacteria, protozoa, arthropods. Did I say fungi? And so fungi is fungus. They're like mushrooms, and and so these microbes like live in your gut. And like that's gut meaning like your stomach and GI tract, and they're really important, and you need the microbes. But if we're sterilizing everything all the time, we don't get any microbes, and so we can't break down the food the way we need to. I always thought it was the hydrochloric acid that like ripped everything apart and like pushed it into your blood and everything, but that's part of the process. But that's the hydrochloric acid sets up the environment for microbes, so we really need microbes. So when I grow plants, I don't really so much grow the plants as I grow the microbes. And I know that's a little weird, but when I water the garden, I'm actually giving water to the earthworms and the nematodes and the fungi and the bacteria. Okay? And then another thing is enzymes. You won't see that really on the package too much, but that is really an important part of how you break down the food. And enzymes are amazing things. They're like shape-shifting protein molecules that transform like hundreds of thousands of times in a millisecond and do different chemical processes. That they're like little factories that shapeshift and like turn a product into a substrate and stuff like that. All real technical and scientific, but they're totally amazing and they're really vital. And one of the ways to get a lot of enzymes is in live food that hasn't been cooked, because cooking is a sterilization process that kills all the microbes and all the enzymes. And most people eat tons of cooked food. That's okay, but it's really important to start a meal with a big salad, because that's raw and it's a substrate. That means it's got the surface area for all those microbes to set up on, in little houses for those little critters to live in. And then the enzymes, they're all part of that process. And so, but one of the really good ways to get enzymes is through live food. So this is a mason jar with a little lid, and so I've got lids with different size holes on them. So there's small, medium, and large in this kit I get off of Amazon. And so these are fenugreek seeds. They're kind of small. So I put the lid with the small holes on them, and then in a couple days this happens. But this is really serves two purposes. One is it's really healthy and it tastes good. And two, you don't have to cook. But I guess the third purpose is, hi Sherry, come on in, we're just filming here, so good to see you. But one of the things, I have this thing, I've got to be growing things all the time. I'm like having a gardening addiction, because once you spend a lot of time in the garden, it's really a wonderful thing. And it's really hard in the winter to not have a garden. And because I like to be growing things, and I get a little cabin fever, and the days are short, and you just get sort of restless. But I can come and water my garden every morning. So all I do is I fill the jar up about this tall with the seeds, and then I fill it up right about to there with water, and then I leave it on the counter overnight upright, and then the next morning I dump it out, rinse it a few times, and then I lay it on its side, not in the sun. And then after a few days it sprouts, and then if I start to get too many sprouts, more than I can eat, or if they start to sprout too much, I put it in the fridge, and it slows it way down. So like these are fenugreek, these are lentils, and you can do a lot of lentils. You can fill it halfway up with lentils because they don't get stinky. Sometimes you put too many seeds and they get stinky. And it's really important to smell them all the time, and they smell really sweet and good when they're good. And so with the lentils, you want the tails to be as long as the seed. And so you can see that they're just about perfect now. So these will go in the fridge because they're ready. If they get too leafy, they don't taste, I don't like the taste as much. But this is a really easy way to just get a lot of good, inexpensive food. The lentils are really inexpensive, and you don't have to worry about cooking them or cleaning up after yourself so much. It's just rinsing every morning, and they're really hearty food. It's loaded with protein, like for bodybuilders. There's a lot of amino acids here, and everyone's always worried about protein. I'm not really sure why. It's not really that critical, but everyone says, well, where do you get your protein if you're a vegetarian? You know, they say that to you, and I'm a vegan, so I get asked that a lot. But there's tons of protein, and it's bioavailable protein, which is better than the protein you get in a meat, because the meat proteins are cooked and the proteins and amino acids get deranged, and you've got to break those proteins down into amino acids and reassemble them into your own human proteins that your body needs. So this is a much more efficient way to get protein and amino acids. And it's real easy, and it's fun. You can watch them grow. Kids love them, and they're exciting. And then this is, these are chickpeas, and these are really good. These get stinky though. This is sort of a little stinky, a little good, and I only fill it up a little bit. I'm trying to get through the stinkiness of this. So I put a little too much in this one. And it also depends where you get them. There are some that have a higher sprout rate. You can buy them from special sprouting sources, and they cost more per pound. I'm trying to do like stuff that I get at like Kroger's, and there's a Middle East. There's a what's the name of the Indian store? Patel's. At Patel's, they're starting to carry a lot of organic sprouting seeds, and they're really good because hey, we're talking about vegetarianism over here. And they're really good because they're not expensive, and they have a really good sprouting rate so far. But I've been putting too many in the bottle for this one, for the chickpeas. But it's a lot more tolerant. These two are a lot more tolerant to having more seeds in the bottle. So, all right. So, any questions on the sprouting? And
when you look for those on Amazon, what are the jars called?
Okay, these are just mason jars. You can buy these. Melanie, my wife, buys these at Kroger's, and they come with standard lids. But you put sprouting lids, I think, in Amazon. Yeah, and they're probably like, there's all sorts of sprouting companies on the internet, and this is just and there are better ways to do it, to sprout. But this is real easy for me, and I'm just in the groove on it from the winter, and I might not have as much of this in the summer once the garden comes in real well. And yeah. So, any other questions?
One more.
Yeah.
And then how would you eat those? Do you eat them like a snack out of pan? Yeah. Put them in a salad?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Melanie likes to put them on a salad as a as sort of an addendum to the salad. I like to take I have 5 or 6 different kinds, and I like to get a bowl a little bit bigger than a big salad bowl, and put like maybe half a cup of each kind in, and then you can. I eat it plain a lot because they taste pretty good. You get used to the taste. But you can also take seaweed and put it in, these seaweed flakes, and then you get your that way you get your iodine. You can add all sorts of, other stuff. You can add, depends what your diet, like I try not to eat salt, but you can put soy sauce on it if you're into salt. You could do miso, that's a really healthy form of salt. You could put butter on it if you're into that. I'm not into butter just because it tends to stick to my sides and make me like this. And just all sorts of things, basically salt, oil, and sugar would be, anything you find in a salad dressing, that sort of thing. You can make a cheese if you're into cheese. Yeah. All right, if there's no more questions there, I'll put my hat on, signaling we'll go to the next thing.